have done 9 numbers of sadhana which have to practice in daily life to do integral yoga. It is seen that many of us want to do sadhana and want to lead a spiritual life. But it's a matter of fact that many of us not progressed in spiritual path, though many years have passed. Some of us are stagnating at one point. We do not know the actual methods for practicing integral yoga. The other and most important reason is that there is lack of genuine commitment and sufficient intensity in sadhana. Most of us have not done sadhana in an organized way. In this case, we have to remember the words of Sri Aurobindo that the ideal sadhaka should be able to say in the biblical phrase, "My zeal for Lord has eaten me up." Thus, building up this zeal for the Lord, the zeal of the whole nature of divine realization, the hearts and minds, total eagerness for the attainment of divine should be the preoccupation of the sadhaka throughout the daily life. For this, the sadhaka has to adopt ninefold daily sadhana. Here we will discuss the ninefold daily sadhana one by one. First one is to be conscious. Our present nature is full of defects and imperfection, and many of these have been hidden in our subconscious level where we do not know anything. In a successful sadhana, we have to conscious all these things and eradicate its shortcomings. Once mother was asked what is to do to prepare oneself for this yoga, mother replied, "Once you are conscious, it means that you can distinguish things. You can see which are the forces that pull you down and which help you on." In this regard, mother said many things in her writings. Mother said, "When you know the right from the wrong, the true from the false, the divine from the undivine, you are to act strictly up to your knowledge. That is to say, strongly reject the one and accept the other. When we will be conscious, we can do it." Then our next point is to be vigilant. Rejecting the undivine forces and accepting the divine ones at every step, it requires a constant vigilance on the part of the sadhaka throughout the entire period of his daily life. This vigilance has to act in two different ways, both of which are equally essential for maintaining a steady progress in the path of integral yoga. These two ways are to check the temptation and never to fall. And the other one is to look out for opportunity on forward movement. In the words of Madhara, for twofold sadhana, that is, when we want to do sadhana at each moment of life, there is a choice between taking a step that leads to the goal and falling asleep, or sometimes even going backwards, telling yourself, "Oh, later on, not immediately," sitting down on the wheel. Mother also said, there are two kinds of vigilance, active and passive. There is a vigilance that gives a warning if you are about to make a mistake, if you are making a wrong choice, if you are being weak or allowing yourself to be tempted at. And the other one is there is a active vigilance which seeks an opportunity to progress, seeks to utilize every circumstance to advance more quickly. So, in this way, we will be vigilant. Then, our next step is stepping back. Vigilance will makes the sadhaka aware of situation facing him, but that is not enough. How one will know what is important for him and what is not? How one will know what is the most important element and will be the determinative of sadhaka's spiritual destiny? Therefore, along with constant vigilance, the sadhaka of the integral yoga has to conduct another sadhana, that is stepping back. In practice, it never comes to acting or reacting when one is confronted with many situations. Rather, one must learn how to allow a sufficient time interval between the stimulus received at any moment and response offered to it. This is a situation in the impersonal way and to go within it. Here are the mother's words concerning what a sadhaka should do. Do not lend yourself to the superficial forces which move in the outside world, even if you are in a hurry to do something. Step back for a while. Always keep your peace. Resist all the temptation. Never decide anything without stepping back. Never speak a word without stepping back. Never throw yourself into action without stepping back. One important point also that the sadhaka has to develop at the same time the sense of proportion and proper perspective. This should unduly magnify the importance of present happening. Then stepping back will be effective. Then our fourth point is not to manifest in action. All of us know that the sadhaka of integral yoga accepts life in its entirety only in order to transform it. We have fixed our goal, the divine transformation of our present human nature, and a victory over the forces of life. Our sadhana accepts life and not escape from life. When a sadhaka accepts life, he has to face many feelings, impulses, and instincts. At that moment, all the dark forces inherent in present human nature will come out, and his psychological field turning into a testing ground for many different forces and influences. In such precarious situation, the worldly-minded people give it a free expression. But for the sadhaka of integral yoga is what the mother has turned not to give expression in act. The mother also said, the effective order is to begin from outside. The very first thing is that I do not do it, and afterwards I desire it no longer, and next I close my doors completely to all the impulses. They no longer exist for me. I am now outside all. That is the true order. The order that is effective. First, not to do it, and then they will no longer desire, and after that it will go out of our consciousness completely. Not to manifest in action should be a practice with the sadhaka, not in one occasion, but constantly many times a day, through his entire sadhana career. Then our fifth point is to integrate the being. One of the great tragedy of the many sadhaka is that they are compromising with the spiritual progress as they do not take sufficient care to harmonize the different members of the being. There are many subjective and objective beings of one's personalities. The subjective beings may be intellect, will, sense mind, desire self, heart, and objective beings are body, life, and mind. All the beings are interdependent to each other. It neither agrees with itself nor with others, so they function as a self-divided personalities who are being pulled and pushed at the same time along contrary directions by wildly divergent forces and influences. So the sadhaka has to command for harmonizing the different members with each other, otherwise he will be liable to demolish by one hand what the other has built up in sadhana. Integration of the being should be the watchword. His mind, heart and will should not have separate contrary fascination. All the members should worship the same divine. Then we come to our sixth point, that is to observe, to watch, to control, to master. These are the fourfold sadhana, that is to observe, to watch, to control and to master, which are explained by the mother at ashrama to their children. The first stage is to observe one's thoughts and feelings. It's not such an easy thing. For to observe your thoughts and feelings, you must first of all separate yourself from that. First is to step back and look at them, so that the movement of the observing thoughts and feelings may not be confused. Now comes the second stage for watching over one's thoughts and feelings. Learn to look them as an enlightened judge so that you may distinguish between good and bad, between those thoughts and feelings that are useful and those that are harmful. It is the power of discernment that we must acquire. Now comes the third stage of control. That is the step of our psychological discipline. Once the enlightened judge of our consciousness has distinguished between useful and harmful thoughts and feelings, the inner God will come and allow to pass the useful thoughts and strictly refusing to pass the undesirable elements. In the fourth stage, that of the mastery over the wrong movements, this stage will come if we successfully complete the previous three stages. For a total sincerity on the part of sadhaka will make him immune from the attacks of the undesirable forces. This is all about the fourfold sadhana, and we have to practice it. Then we come to our seventh point, that is to take life seriously. We must take life seriously without torpor and lethargy. One's mother warns us with strong words. Here are some words of the mother. First, you must make haste to do your work here, for it is here that you can truly do it. Next sentence also, accept nothing from death, life is your salvation. And third sentence we also collect, it is in life that you must transform yourself. It is upon earth that you progress, and it is upon earth that you realize. It is in the body that you win the victory. From this mother's words, we have to take life more seriously and fulfill the real purpose of our human embodiment. We have to take life with the seriousness it deserves, if we would call ourselves as the sadhaka of integral yoga. Then our eighth point is remember and offer. Sadhana of integral yoga cannot be done in a shortcut way. There is no such thing as a part-time sadhana. It has to be done in entire life. Sri Aurobindo also said, the secret of success in yoga is to regard it not as one of the aims to be pursued in life, but as the whole of life. So here are some words. A sadhaka's attitude has to be grown by such words. The whole of my life shall be absolutely given to the divine. All my efforts will be devoted to the realization of a truly spiritual life. I must feel at every step that I belong to the divine and none to other. I should know and feel that everything is coming from me, from the divine, and I have to offer it back to its source. I have to remember the divine always and offer all things that may be bad or good, success or unsuccess, all my thoughts and feelings to the divine. Simultaneously, remember and offer has to be done. Then we come to the last point, that is prayer. Pray and pray and pray. The life of sadhaka should be the life of constant prayer. We may call it a prayer or aspiration or call. Whatever we may call it, it is an earnest and persistent appeal to the Supreme on behalf of sadhaka for the divine's help and intervention. Prayer has great power. Anything can happen by prayer. It has developed relation between the divine and devotee. At lower level, we can formulate this type of prayer, that is, O divine, guide me on the path of rectitude at every step of my life. Take charge of my entire existence and remold it in the spiritual way. O divine, change my heart and mind and body with thy power, so that I may act as a perfect instrument of thy manifestation. If you want to pray in an impersonal way, then we can formulate this type of prayer, that is, grant that thy sovereign power may manifest upon earth and thy work be accomplished. Let everything become resplendent and transfigured by the knowledge of the truth. To conclude, prayers are very important element in the life of a sadhaka. It makes close intimacy with the divine. This is all about ninefold sadhana of a sadhaka. If we want to practice, then we will surely go to the next step of integral yoga. Here we conclude our topic. Thank you. Namaskar. Vande Mataram.